moving right into the mainstream of the discussion this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring to you a gentleman who is a master at NLP. He is a communication specialist. He is an entrepreneur. He's an author. He's a coach. And he has all of the essentials that he has compiled throughout the course of his career to take you to the next level of success. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, would you please put your hearts and hands together for Mr. Ron A. Kaufman.
Hi, thank you.
Ron, welcome to the Let's Talk Success Show.
Thank you.
So, we are doing the anatomy of success. And we would like to bring to our viewers all of the incredible particulars that you have for them, so therefore they can achieve higher levels of their own personal success. But let's just start off with, perhaps, Ron, defining success. I mean, let's go back to the basics.
Right. Well, what I do is I don't define success for people. I help them define it for themselves. To some people it's money, to some people it's power, to some people it's winning awards, to some people it's finishing a marathon, to some people it's being the best parent that they can be. I like the way one person defined it many, many years ago. They said success is being the best that you can be and helping others to be the best that they can be. Now that's a definition that resonates with me, but I'm not about telling people what they should or shouldn't do. I'm helping them to find out who they are, what makes sense to them, and then helping them to set up a strategy and a plan to achieve success as they define it.
Okay, Ron, well, let's see here. People, of course, would like to achieve greater levels of success, and sometimes there are stumbling blocks that hinder them or impede their progress. Ron, it could be procrastination, it could be worry, it can be aimlessness, it can be recklessness. It just totally pans out to be much like people wandering around like a ship without a rudder. And please tell them, Ron, some of the principles that you have to help them overcome these phenomena.
Right. Well, the first part, and I work with everyone literally from the upper level executives at major corporations to people on welfare and everyone in between. One of the keys that so many people are missing is clearly and specifically defining your goals. So for instance, someone says, I want to be healthy. Poor goal setting, poor results. So it's not I want to be healthy. It would be something like every good structure to a goal has a time element. So if it's health, wealth, prosperity, always would be the time frame. So I always want to be completely healthy, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, have boundless energy, be clear thinking, blood pressure 120/80, resting pulse 50, weigh blank, toned, lean, and fit pounds with blank, 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 blank measurements. That's step one. So you have to remember the brain thinks in terms of pictures. We must have enough clear, specific details to create a picture. Your goal has got to be so clear that if you handed it, you write it out, you handed it to anyone on the planet, they would know exactly what you mean. That's part one. Then part two is what would you see, what would you hear, and what would you feel? Physically as well as emotionally, that's proof and evidence the goal has been achieved.
Ron, what do people need to do if they're really just starting out on a path of goals achievement? How do they start?
The first is, again, writing out what you want, and if you can't get all the detail, ask for help. And that's where people like myself, mentors, personal coaches come in, because we can be objective. When someone's setting a goal for themselves, there's an emotional element usually. So sometimes that acts as a block for them. So what we can do is come in and be clear and specific for them. And you have to be very careful about what I call the more, less, better syndrome. This is a major stumbling block for people that I deal with in all walks of life. So for instance, they say, I want to be more confident as a salesperson. Poor goal setting, poor results. On a scale of 1 to 10, if your confidence level is at a 5, and your instructions and directions and programming to your brain are to be more confident, if we move it from a 5 to a 6, did you get what you asked for? Yes, well, I still want to be more confident. We move from a 6 to a 7. No, I still want to be more confident. So 70 to 85% of the time, when you find yourself saying more, drop the more and amplify the ultimate end result, the target state. So I don't want to be more confident as a salesperson. I always want to be completely confident, effective, and persuasive as a salesperson, and persuade a minimum of 50% of the people that I make a presentation to to buy my product, be happy with it, and refer other proper prospects to me.
Well, that's very interesting that you would even bring it forth like that, Ron, because on my journey, I've discovered that we should all consider ourselves in the field of sales, because we have to sell ourselves on a relationship, and we have to continue to sell ourselves, or that relationship will atrophy over a period of time. We have to sell ourselves to our employers. We have to sell ourselves to our friends. Right. We're just kind of all selling.
Yes.
In its entirety. So when it comes to goals, I also have a position that everyone is constantly always accomplishing goals all the time. You know, getting up, you're putting on your clothes, you're brushing our teeth. We even had a goal to sit down here this afternoon, and by George, you know, we're having it.
Yes.
And we're successful. Just for the fact that, you know, it's going on and we charted it out. But even still, for other people, I think it's just a little bit different in terms of their attitudes, Ron. So like procrastination, for example. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, and procrastination is really nothing but installment death. And have you made any payments lately? Now, Ron, what are some of the techniques that you use to overcome procrastination?
Okay, again, step one is getting completely clear and specific about your goal. I do a stress management workshop, and I say, why are you here? What's your goal for being here? They say, I want to have less stress in my life. Again, poor goal setting, poor results. So it's helping people to identify the target state. So I don't want to have less stress. I say, well, what's the complete opposite of stress? And it's so sad. So many people are so stressed out, they forgot what the other side looks like. So they say, no stress. I go, okay, that's to neutral. Now, what is the opposite of stress? Oh, yeah, peace, love, happiness, tranquility, serenity. Once you identify the target state, and again, what would you see, what would you hear, and what would you feel physically and emotionally that's proof and evidence the goal has been achieved? That's step one. I do a relationship workshop. I say, why are you here? We're fighting 50 times a day. We want to get along better. Well, now you're fighting 45 times a day. No, we still want to get along better. Now you're fighting 40 times a day. Poor goal setting, poor results. So it might be something like, I always want to have a mutually, it's got to work for both of you, mutually loving, caring, supportive, nurturing, sensual, intimate, growing, fun, upbeat, satisfying relationship with my mate. And if you just change a couple of those words, it could apply to your boss, to your clients, to your coworkers, family, friends. Identify the target state. And then what are the specific behaviors and things that would and wouldn't happen? That's proof and evidence the goal has been achieved. That's step one. Then step two is you must know yourself. What are your values? What are your beliefs? What's your self-concept? What are your skills and abilities? And who you are as a person has got to be in harmony and alignment with the pursuing of a particular goal. Otherwise, you will procrastinate. So I want to make tons of money and I want to have my own company. So now you're traveling. Now you're working 80 hours a week, you're working on the weekends, and one of your highest values are family and togetherness and love and intimacy. We've got a problem here, don't we? So you achieve the goal of having all this business success, but other goals in your life have fallen apart. So you've achieved certain things, but you do not have the happiness and the joy and the satisfaction. That really ultimately is success, isn't it?
Absolutely, Ron. As a matter of fact, there is a proverbial aphorism that says a smile is just a frown turned upside down, and success and failure are, you know, opposite ends of the spectrum, but then almost, you know, you can't have one without the other. Much like life is a vine of grapes, you must take the bitter with the sweet. So how would you then suggest to people, Ron, as they're on their path of goals achievement and dealing with the situations that perhaps don't work out the way they thought it would?
Again, it's being true to oneself and understanding, okay, maybe having all that money really isn't going to bring me the happiness and joy. And we see so many people, especially I spent most of my career in the entertainment business, they give up these high-paying jobs, all the pressure, and they take a much lower-level situation, and yet they have the happiness and joy. So who are you as a person? What are your traits, qualities, and characteristics? What are your beliefs about yourself? What are your beliefs about life? Do you believe no pain, no gain? Do you believe all blankety blank will cause me problems? Do you believe, what was that old saying, that a camel would have an easier chance of getting through the eye of a needle than a rich man getting it to the gates of heaven? Did you grow up with those kind of beliefs? All right?
That's a very interesting old saying, yes, from the biblical.
Exactly.
Yes,
and then there's the terrible twos. Do you believe you're too young, too old, too tall, too short, too thin, too heavy, too attractive, too unattractive. What are your beliefs about yourself, about life, about people in general? Then you have to examine those beliefs. And what you have to do is any negative limiting beliefs you have, you've got to neutralize them, and it's a multiple step process. And then you've got to install within yourself the empowering, enabling beliefs that you need to have. And I've identified 4 of them. You've got to believe, first off, that you can achieve a particular goal. If you don't believe you can do it, whether it's money, health, relationships, whatever it is, why bother? Then you've got to believe it's worthwhile, valuable, and important enough to you. And again, that's going to be in alignment with your values and beliefs, isn't it? Then you've got to believe that it will happen, that it's even possible for you. And then probably most importantly for so many of the people I deal with, they must believe in their heart of hearts that they deserve to have a particular goal.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here on the Let's Talk Success